In 1827, French Admiral Jules d'Urville was mapping the coastline of South Island when he instructed his navigator to enter the pass. As d'Urville's crew was entering the narrowest section of the pass, they lost control of their ship and they began spinning. They eventually hit some rocks which cracked their hull, but luckily they came to rest on a nearby reef which prevented them from sinking. After the incident, d'Urville went back to France, and in his report, he said no one should enter the French pass unless in an emergency situation, because the French pass is home to some of the world's most deadly whirlpools. On March 10th, 2000, 7 experienced divers headed out to the French Pass to begin their 5th week of instruction in their Dive Master course. With a Dive Master certification, they would become professional divers. As part of their curriculum, they needed to complete what's called a drift dive, where instead of trying to fight the current, you simply go with it. These 7 divers, which were 6 students and 1 instructor, would all be tethered to the same 30-meter long line. On one end of this line was attached a buoy, and then connected to the buoy was an inflatable raft. This allowed surface observers in the boat to track the progress of the dive. The plan was to boat out to the middle of the pass during high tide, jump in the water, and then ride the slow current out of the pass again, avoiding all the whirlpools. One of these student divers' husbands, a man named Hallett Smith, who had previously completed the Dive Master course, was in the boat as a safety observer, and he said as soon as the group got in the water and they went subsurface, immediately their buoy and raft took off at a rapid pace. Smith had to tell the boat driver to speed up just to keep pace with the divers, but after only a minute or two, the divers appeared to just stop suddenly in the water, and the inflatable raft started spinning in circles. When they drove over to the raft to see what was going on, Smith looked down and realized what had happened. The buoy and the line attached to it that all the divers were holding onto had ripped off of the inflatable raft and been sucked under the surface out of view. It would turn out the lead instructor had gotten the tides wrong and nobody had noticed. When the divers jumped into the water, it was not high tide like the instructor said it would be. It was changing from high tide to low tide, which meant instead of there being a 1 or 2 knot current, perfect for a drift dive, there was a 6 knot current ripping through the waterway that sucked them under. And for reference, any current that's above 3 knots is basically physically impossible to swim out of. So all these divers could do was ride it out and hope the current spat them out before pushing them into a whirlpool. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. All 7 divers were pulled directly into the worst whirlpool of all. Down they went, all the way down to 100 meters at the bottom of this hole where they were pinned until eventually the whirlpool began releasing them. 6 divers surfaced, 4 were badly shaken up but were alive. One of them was the lead instructor. 2 had drowned. That was 40-year-old Ricky McDonald and Smith's wife, 33-year-old Narelle Tapuri. As for the 7th and final diver, 21-year-old David Welsh, his body was never found, so that's led some people to believe he may still be trapped at the bottom of Jacob's Hole.